Welcome to week 7 of the BTFL season 2. We have the New York Empire, who's lost 4 straight, going to the Cincinnati Rampage. Gary Brown would come back from injury, but first, Mark Rippon would rip it over the middle to Gil Fenerty, his fullback, and then hand it off to Ricky Running Waters, splitting the defense, bobbing and weaving around guys, going up 7-0. Steve DeBerg would throw it down the right side to his fullback, Tricky Ricky Irvins, but then Steve DeBerg would get sacked by Gary Reasons, taking him out of Rampage territory, as this punting play would lead to disastrous effects, as John Kidd would get sacked before he could punt the ball, and this would lead to Mark ripping it deep to fast Willie Galt. It's 13-0, but Roger Ruzek misses this extra point. It's no good. 13-0 here for the New York Empire, as Steve DeBerg throws it down the right side to Tricky Ricky Irvins, getting it inside of Rampage territory. But then there's a mistake here, as Richard Johnson would intercept this Steve DeBerg pass, and there would be more here for Ricky Running Waters as he tells guys to get off me, but this field goal would be no good by Roger Ruzek. Mark Rippon would stand in the pocket. He'd rip it down the left side to Willie Galt, and then again down the left side while he's in the red zone, pressure in his face, as Willie Galt would get his second touchdown of the game. It's 20-0. Steve DeBerg's got to show why he's the starting quarterback for this New York Empire team, as he would rip the ball deep, a rainbow pass to Flipper Anderson, and after the drive stalls, Scott Norwood would luckily add this field goal. It's 20-3. Ricky Running Waters would still run around guys, getting it past midfield, getting it past the 40 to around the 35-yard line, and after the drive stalled, Roger Ruzek would add another field goal. It's 23-3. Last-ditch effort for the Empire. Gary Brown would get the ball down the right side, wouldn't be able to make the first down, and Cincinnati wins 26-10. Empire continue a 5-game skid. Rampage are 4-3. Indianapolis Guardians host the Baltimore Bulls. Favre comes back from injury, so Chris the Duke of Chandler, he rides the bench again. We'll start out with Brett Favre throwing it back to Ron Moore. Weird trick pass, getting it into Bulls territory. Favre in the red zone, throws it down the right side to Alexander. If love is wrong, I don't want to be right. As the Guardians take a 7-0 lead, Favre throws it down the right side to his tight end, Mark Bavaro, on the next drive, getting it close to midfield. Favre backs up, no pressure in his face, throws it down the left side to the Hall of Fame receiver, Jerry Rice, and then again inside the red zone, throws it to Rice, wide open in the end zone, taking a 14-0 lead, big lead over the Bulls. Another drive for the Guardians, they get the ball back to Jerry Rice, as Jerry Rice passes the 30, wide open, this guy's got speed, and then Favre gives it over the middle yet again to his tight end, Mark Bavaro. But Favre makes a mistake here, running out of the pocket. This is how you can get injured, but it's also how you can... It's a fumble. Ball is recovered by Commanders head coach Ron Rivera, but it's okay because Favre and the Guardians get the ball back, as Alexander Wright gets the ball down the right side. If love is wrong, then I don't want to be right, as Sammy Smith gets it over the middle, and then Ron Moore bums it in for the touchdown, weaving around defenders. Next drive for the Bulls, Greg Robinson, who is a new running back on the team after Leonard Russell got injured. Mark Ingram gets the ball down the left side from Eric Kramer, and Eric Kramer will finish this drive off, giving it to Mark Ingram. He lets his speed do it the rest of the way, 21-6. Here's a punt by Tuden, and we usually show punts if something bad happens, or if something good happens, it's a sack, and then the Bulls get the ball back on a turnover on downs. Irving Fryer, ball, touchdown, 21-14. 4th and 4, the Guardians heavily struggled on 4th down. Favre would struggle here as he gets sacked by Ron Rivera. Turnover on downs. This would give the Bulls a chance to throw it down the right side to Irving Fryer. Inside the red zone, inside the 10, inside the 5. Shotgun Kramer, passes down the left side. Mark Ingram, he's cooler than the other side of the pillow. Tied game, 21-21. 4th and 2, 2 minutes and 27 seconds left. The Guardians go for it again. They don't get it. And then the Bulls have a chance, but they get intercepted here. Overtime, usually if you get the ball first, you win. Bulls punt it to the Guardians. Guardians punt it back, and then the Bulls punt it back to the Guardians. And this is the outcome. Mark Bavaro over the middle, getting the ball inside the 30, close to the 20. Nick Lowry, he has to try a field goal. It's up and it is good. 24-21. Guardians successfully complete a 4-game winning streak with Favre in his first game at quarterback in a while. Bulls are 2-5 and they're hanging by a limb. Philadelphia Spirit hosts the Chicago Chiefs. The Chiefs start off with the ball as Jim McMahon play-action rollout bootlegs, throws it over the middle to Art Monk, and Art Monk gets it past the 40, close to the 35-yard line. This would lead to a Jason Starofsky field goal. It's 3-0. Starofsky would kick off to the Philadelphia Spirit, and the return man would take the ball. He would bob and weave, but he would get tackled. It's a fumble recovered by the Chiefs. And this would lead to Jim McMahon throwing down the right side to the human highlight reel, the human joystick, Barry Sanders, his first receiving touchdown of the season. Philadelphia is down by 10, which they haven't been really down since week 1, as this left down the pass to Alonzo Highsmith. Although Chuck Klingbeil would sack Jim McMahon, this would lead to another Starofsky field goal, 13-0. Wade Wilson finally helps get Philadelphia on the board, throwing it down the left side to Michael Haynes for the touchdown. One of 2 touchdowns for him today, and this errant McMahon pass would be intercepted by James Hasty. Philadelphia gets good field position, and Barry Foster would get the touchdown. Another handoff to the human highlight reel, the human joystick, Barry Sanders, but this was very un-Hall of Famer-like as he would fumble. Ball's recovered by Barney Busey. This would lead to Wade Wilson looking down the field, scanning, pressure in his face. Second touchdown catch by Michael Haynes. It's a 21-13 game. Wade Wilson would get the ball back for Philadelphia at his own 25-yard line. Scotty Graham would catch this ball down the left side to around the 24, but Wade Wilson makes a mistake here, throwing an interception to Felix Wright. Another "if loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right," and then he'd fill it up again. Wade Wilson would throw it, intended for Mark Carrier, intercepted by Felix Wright, but the ball would be fumbled, recovered by Philadelphia, so that's another mistake there for Chicago. Wade Wilson with the ball inside of Chiefs territory would throw another interception, this time to Manny Jimmy Hendricks. Philadelphia gets the ball back. Wade Wilson's done throwing interceptions as he throws the ball down the left side. A dazzling pass. Would Haynes get in the end zone? He does not for his 3rd touchdown, but Barry Foster would, and this would lead to the Chiefs being down 15. This would start more positivity as Alonzo Highsmith would get another catch from Jim McMahon, and Jim McMahon inside of Philadelphia territory would give the jumping catch to Art Monk, and in the human highlight reel, the human joystick, Barry Sanders plunges it in for the touchdown. Starofsky would onside kick it. Philadelphia recovers, but Chicago would eventually get the ball back down 8 as Art Monk would catch the ball down the right side close to the 40-yard line, and then Art Monk would catch it down the field again inside the red zone. But Jim McMahon, he ends this game by throwing another interception to Donnell Wolford, and Philadelphia eventually wins 28-20. They're 6-1. The Chiefs still have 2 wins.
The undefeated Cleveland Cardinals visit the Milwaukee Warriors in a massive matchup in the middle of the BTFL season. O'Brien would begin the game with an interception thrown to Albert Lewis, but this would turn into a quarterback duel. On his ensuing drive, he launches a big throw to Marcus Allen, who makes the diving catch, then caps off the drive with his feet. That is the 8th rushing touchdown for Raider Hall of Fame running back Marcus Allen. But Dan Marino of Milwaukee wouldn't go away early in this first half, as he finds his former Dolphin teammate Mark Clayton to close the first quarter, then feeds his fullback Rick Fenney for the touchdown. The game is tied at 7. Later in the second quarter, Don Griffin picks off the Dolphin quarterback, and then on the ensuing Cleveland Cardinal drive, Robert Clark makes the leaping catch and cuts inside for the touchdown. The Cardinal quarterback, Ken O'Brien, was masterful in the middle of this ballgame, and here he finds Reggie Langhorne to put him back into Milwaukee territory, and O'Brien, late in the first half, was sacked by Fagan, so they'd be forced to settle for a field goal. Cleveland's up 10 at the break. In the second half, O'Brien kept it going, but did not get help from his tight end. Irv Smith lost the fumble, picked up by Tim Crumry, and then Clayton reels in a touchdown. Milwaukee's only down 3. Next Cleveland drive ends with an even worse fumble but it's picked up somehow by Keith Sims, the teammate, so they settle for another field goal in what appeared to be right off a few Warrior hands. Marino and Milwaukee close the third quarter down 6, but Clayton makes an excellent catch, so they start the fourth quarter near the red zone, and after a sack, Marino launches to Clayton for the touchdown. Milwaukee takes a 21-20 lead, and this comeback wouldn't be complete without another scoring drive. Fenny, the fullback, was outstanding in the game, but Marino caps off the drive with a touchdown pass to Bill Brooks. And now O'Brien and Cleveland have one last chance to keep their undefeated season going. Deep to Reggie Langhorne, his throw's incomplete, and the game is over. Milwaukee comes back to knock out Cleveland and are now 5-2 to begin the BTFL season.
Washington Generals, coming off that big win against the Eagles, play the Buffalo Stampede. Vinny Testaverde comes back from injury. We'll start off with Mel Gray getting the ball up the middle. He would get tackled and it's a fumble. Ball's recovered by Mark Wheeler, and Garrison Hurst would vulture off of him for a touchdown. Garrison Hurst did a lot of vulturing today, but you know who did a lot of tight roping the sideline? It's Bo Jackson, and Bo knows the end zone as he would get another handoff down the right side. Bo knows Jackson. He would nose the inside of the 40, inside of the 30, and inside of the red zone as Vinny Vici in his first game back would shovel pass to Garrison Hurst for the touchdown. 3-possession game. Despite having a good game, Bo knows Jackson would nose 2 fumbles. This one recovered by Dwayne Bickett, and this would lead to a Mike Coper field goal after the drive stalled. It's an 18-point game. Another mistake here was handing the ball off to Bo knows Jackson. That would be a safety, but the Generals would give it right back, throwing this interception to Joey Browner, and Joey Browner would make it close to midfield. Vinny Testaverde would wave his hands and go, Vinny Vici, and I've got Garrison Hurst in the end zone for the touchdown, 28-5. More interceptions here. Bledsoe had 4, which was not good after that Boston Eagles game. This one to Rod Woodson, the Hall of Famer. This would lead to a Pete Stoyanovich field goal, and the Buffalo Stampede would win their first game in 5 weeks as they would win 45-8. Both teams are 2-5. Dallas Rattlers have lost 2 straight. Atlanta Fire haven't won a single game. The Steve Berline experiment ends as he's benched for Boomer Esiason and James Brooks comes back from injury. This game did not start out well for the Fire as Boomer Esiason gets sacked and fumbles. They have to punt it back to the Dallas Rattlers as John Vaughn goes, get off me, I'm going into Fire territory. But this drive would end very poorly as Bernie Kosar would get sacked by Charles Dimry, who had a really good game, and he would get injured. He would get replaced by Eric Wilhelm. Bernie Kosar had a decent season going on. This field goal would be missed by Kevin Butler. Rodney Hampton would get the ball down the right side. He would get tackled. It's a fumble recovered by Charles Dimry. That name has already been said after he sacked Bernie Kosar, and Eric Wilhelm would throw it to Chris Carter. And then Rodney Hampton would go whoop around defenders. He gets it into the end zone, making up for that fumble. Game is tied. Boomer Esiason would get his boy, Stephone Page, involved in this game as he catches the ball down the left side, makes it inside the 5-yard line as he would hand the ball off to James Brooks, and James Brooks would go whoop, bob and weave around defenders as he gets the touchdown, his first touchdown since getting injured. This would be an interception thrown down the right side to James Howard Brown, as James Howard Brown would get it inside the red zone. They get sacked out of the red zone as Neil Smith would sack Esiason, as this would be a made Matt Baer field goal. It's a 10-point contest. Esiason gets the ball back for the Fire. He backs up, pressure in his face. He throws it down the left side to his favorite receiver, Stephone Page, as he dives to make the catch. Esiason play action rollout bootlegs, but he would get sacked here at the 29-yard line by Lamille Stinson. This field goal would be made by Matt Baer, and it's a 13-point contest, 2-possession game. Fire get the ball back because Dallas didn't really have an offense in this game. They had a backup quarterback. Stephone Page jumps to make that catch inside the 20-yard line, and James Brooks, he gets his second touchdown of the game, which is big for him because he was injured for a while and he was one of the best players on the Fire team. Eric Wilhelm is the backup, so he wants to try to make this respectable as he throws it down the right side to Curtis. dunking the ball down the right side, and then Eric Wilhelm would play action rollout bootleg, give it to the Hall of Fame receiver Chris Carter. 27-13. This would be a missed extra point. Second missed kick here by Kevin Butler. Onside kick. Dallas needs to recover. They don't. Fire recover. And Boomer Esiason, he is just adding the icing on the cake to his homecoming as the starting quarterback of the Fire. He throws the wheel route to James Brooks as both players have an amazing homecoming as they win their first game of the season. Dallas Rattlers are 2-5.